Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad New Fangled Motion Picture Show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the New Fangled Motion Picture Show. I'm Niall.
And I'm Nolan.
And today we're going to be reviewing The Equalizer 2, starring Denzel Washington.
Yep.
And we're going to be doing our normal thing where we do a spoiler-free review, and then give you a spoiler warning and get more in-depth into the movie. So, without further ado, I liked it.
Yeah, it was alright. It was fairly basic modern day sort of spy thriller sort of movie.
Yeah, it's like spy thriller / like revenge movie.
Yeah. So this is a sequel to the first one, The Equalizer, obviously, and it's based on a TV series from the 80s. Basically, you have this retired spy who just when people who need his help, he helps them out, gets revenge for them or beats up some abusive person in their life or whatever. And that's kind of his shtick. But in this one, someone he knows from the CIA, they're in trouble, so he needs to go and...
Yeah,
it's got a broader scope than the first one did.
Yes, it does. So I guess I only had like one real issue with the movie, which I'll get more into in the spoiler part. I can't talk about it without spoiling the movie. So, but there's a lot of like very satisfying scenes in this movie of Denzel getting revenge on someone, or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a pretty fun movie. There's some decent action scenes. Like there's some fight scenes and stuff that are all like believable. They're, like crazy flips and shit.
Right. There's a lot of throwing people into furniture and stuff, and then it looks really painful too.
Yeah, like Denzel will like dodge an attack and like use the person's momentum to carry them into a wall or the back of a couch or something.
Yeah, it all looks pretty suitably painful. But it's pretty good.
Yeah, it definitely feels
Plus,
like
there's some other like things that he does that are not. He helps people out, but they're not like violence oriented. Like there's this old man who was a Holocaust survivor, and he's helping him like out with. He's trying to like get this portrait of his sister back. And it's kind of the subplot, and he's trying to help him out with that. So there's no like violence or anything involved in that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's him using his abilities to help people.
Yeah.
I will say this movie kind of flew under the radar compared to the first Equalizer. Like I saw almost no ads for this movie.
I remember seeing posters, and I kind of forgot it was coming until like a banner ad or something I saw somewhere.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh yeah, Equalizer.
Like I think I saw one trailer for it in the theater, and then I saw posters at the movie theater for a few months.
Right, and I almost forgot about it.
Yeah, it like I said, it just seemed like it didn't have the advertising budget that the first one had.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, it's out there because our theater on a Sunday. It's like a Sunday afternoon was pretty full.
Yeah.
So I mean, if that's any indication, I guess it's doing all right.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't imagine this movie cost a lot of money to make.
No.
I mean, Denzel's the only like major name.
Just like in the credits, I think it was all shot in Massachusetts, which is where it takes place in Boston.
Yeah, just like the first one.
And then even like there's like a section that's like in another country, but it could have been shot anywhere.
Yeah, it's in two interiors, I think, that are in another country. So like that could have been anywhere.
Right.
So yeah, I mean it's a decent enough movie. I don't think it's like the best action movie out there or the best thriller out there, but it was good.
Yeah, and Denzel Washington's always pretty good in it. And it has Pedro Pascal in it, which I was like, God, that guy looks like Pedro Pascal. And then I was like, oh, it was Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, it's just that the last thing you remembered seeing him in, he had a mustache.
Yeah.
So.
And I think he bulked up somewhat.
Yeah, it looked like
he looked like he put on.
He was
some
definitely
weight
more wiry in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and then he looked bigger in this, and like his face was fuller.
Yeah.
So I think he put on some weight.
But yeah, so I mean, it's like there's no like other than Denzel, there's no like big names. I mean, like
Bill Paxton's in it, if you remember him from Independence Day. I've seen him in a lot of stuff over the years. That's the only role I can name offhand.
Yeah,
is Independence Day. But I know I've seen him in a lot of stuff over the years. That's just all like just pops into my head.
So like I said,
or not Bill Paxton, Bill Pullman.
I was gonna say you should know who Bill Paxton is.
Not Bill Paxton, Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman. So
yeah, I misspoke.
But yeah, it's
and Spaceballs.
Yeah, it's Spaceballs. So, like I said, I can't imagine this movie cost a whole lot to make. There's, no crazy settings. There's some interiors, some exteriors, but it's like
I think the most
all in
there's
America.
There's a scene in the end where there's a big storm. That was probably maybe kind of
because you gotta have the storm fans and the water going on.
Yeah, that was probably the most expensive part of the movie.
Although I kind of feel like a lot of that rain might have been CG because they didn't look wet enough.
Right, but there's some. I mean, there's water pouring and there's big fans and stuff, and they probably CG'd the background like to have the storm in the background and stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean but overall, I mean, there's no like crazy effects, no like, oh, this shot took 30 hours per frame to render.
Not like Transformers.
Yeah. So I mean, I can't imagine the budget was real high, so I'm sure this movie will make its money back. Especially because this weekend, like, what else is there? There's the Mamma Mia sequel?
Yeah.
Who cares about that? That's a sequel no one was asking for.
Right.
So, yeah. But go see it this weekend. It's, about all there is. Hopefully people do see it this weekend, because I like seeing Denzel Washington's movies do well. Because after this weekend, no one's going to go see it, because everyone's going to be seeing the new Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
If they want a spy thriller type movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's all I have to say about the movie that I can say without spoiling it.
Yep. So, spoiler warning.
Yep. So, Pedro Pascal is the bad guy. And how I mentioned I had the only one major problem with the movie. My major problem is that there's nothing to indicate that Pedro Pascal, like, there's nothing to indicate to the audience that Pedro Pascal is the bad guy
until Denzel reveals it.
Right. And then it's not like Denzel figures it out because he like gets into this encrypted phone of this hitman that was sent to kill him.
And he
realizes that Pedro Pascal is the one behind it all.
He's been calling. Yeah, he's got the guy's like phone number on the phone.
And it's like, so Denzel looked at it and realized it, but there was nothing. I mean, because it's like
they even played it where Denzel shows up at his house and you see like these guys sitting in this car across the street, and you're like, oh man, the bad guys are after this character's name is David, I think. And like the bad guys are after David, and Denzel like knocks on the back door, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I tried ringing the front door. The doorbell's not working, I guess." So you're like, "Oh, he's here to warn David that the bad guys are across the street." And they sit down and start talking. He's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I know you're behind it all."
Right, and so for the audience, it was kind of out of left field. It's not in a way of like, well, how the hell? Like, there's no way Denzel should have been able to figure that out because there's nothing to indicate it because he has the phone,
right? But we never see this guy involved in anything shady. Like he looks like straight up a good guy helping Denzel out this whole time, right up until that moment.
Right, there's nothing for the audience to like figure it out on their own. That was my only main problem with the movie, is because it's not like it's a continuity thing of like, you know, or like it's not like these like weird leaps of logic like in the old blaxploitation movies or anything. It's like, oh, okay, he looked at the phone and figured out who the bad guy was. I accept that. But from like a pacing of the movie, since there's nothing for the audience to like sort of start seeing that he's the bad guy, it really feels like it comes out of nowhere.
At no point are you sitting there like, oh man, I don't know if we can trust this guy. No point. You trust him implicitly up until that point.
Right.
And most thrillers, there's like little hints here and there, and you're kind of like, oh man, maybe, you know, they drop little things here and there. You're like, oh man, maybe this guy isn't on the up and up. I don't know. You know, and there's nothing in this.
Yeah, there was none of that in this movie. So that was my only real complaint about the movie.
What also felt was weird because he talks about how after he got out of the army, he's like these special forces guys, like him and everyone else on the team, who's not Denzel Washington, because Denzel was their team leader. All the rest of the bad guys were Denzel Washington's team,
right?
When they were in the army and they're in the special forces, and it talks about how when he got out, they couldn't get work, nobody's hiring them. And they have these skills that are not usable in the civilian field. And he says, I had to do this to even get by. Okay, I can accept that, except now you work for the CIA now. Why are you still doing this?
Right.
You know, and it's the fact that he's still doing this because they took somebody out. They were hired as like mercenaries to take somebody out that was like deep cover for the CIA. And like it was going to be, you know, the investigation was going to lead back to them, so they had to start taking people out, and they took out this woman that was a friend of Denzel Washington's character, and so that's why they're involved. And I'm like, but at this point in your life, you don't need to be doing this anymore. How come when you got a job as a CIA agent, you're still doing this?
Yeah,
if the rest of the team was still doing it, that's one thing, but you...
Right. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense either, but... Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of everything I have to say about The Equalizer 2.
Yeah.
Do recommend it, though, overall.
Mm-hmm.
So go check that out. Next week, we've got Teen Titans Go to the Movies, and like I said, Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
And then... Yeah. And then next month, we've got Christopher Robin, which looks entirely too wholesome for its own good.
Yeah.
The Meg, I guess, and Black Klansman.
I want to see Black Klansman.
Black Klansman looks amazing. Mile 22, I had been seeing the trailers for, or I had been seeing the posters for it, and no real idea what it was about, other than the fact that it had Marky Mark in it. Yeah, saw a trailer for it today, though, before the Equalizer 2, and it looks pretty good, actually.
Yeah, it's another like spy thriller action movie.
It looks definitely more action than thriller, though.
That's true.
But
basically, like they have to escort from the trailer. They have to escort an informant 22 miles from like their safe house to the airport to get him to America, so he can inform on his government again, like about an attack on America.
Yeah,
and so it's just like this 22-mile like have to like fight their way there.
Yeah, so I mean, it looks actually pretty interesting. It's from the director of Lone Survivor, which is about Operation Red Wing. If you haven't seen that, also starring Marky Mark.
Yeah.
Also a pretty good movie. So we're gonna check that out. Alpha is finally coming out.
God, I've been seeing ads for that forever.
Well, it looks like they retooled what the feel of the movie's about.
Yeah, I remember the first trailer and the second trailer. Like these don't feel like the same movie at all.
Yeah, like the first one is very like gritty and like, oh, it's about man first taming wolf, and like that was interesting enough.
And now it's like a lot more family oriented. About it looks like more. It looks the retooling looks more family oriented, and it's
I mean, it could also just be that trailer because it was a lot of the same shots, just like
the whole tone of it was
yeah,
different, though.
just like yeah. And they had a like different soundtrack for the trailer and stuff. So we'll probably end up seeing that though. I think. And then the Happy Time Murders, which looks funny. Staying the hell away from Axel.
Yeah, that looks bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what we got coming up from August, and then there's Bloodfest right at the end of August. Which we're definitely gonna see that because that's a Rooster Teeth production. And we're fans of that, so be ready for that. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, check out our other reviews. We review lots of movies. It's what we like doing, and we also play games on occasion over on twitch.tv/everything_is_bad, and then those get reposted over on our YouTube channel here. So check it out. And until next time, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Toodles.